While traveling, Oleksandr Usyk, the heavyweight champion, was detained at Krakow airport in Poland. The Ukrainian heavyweight champion was reportedly handcuffed by Polish authorities, although the exact reason for the detention was not immediately clear. Usyk's promoter Alex Krasyuk explained to Adam Smith while talking on TalkSports Boxing that the situation involving Oleksandr Usyk's brief detention at Krakow airport was due to a misunderstanding. The incident occurred when Ryanair employees noticed that Usyk's friend appeared unfit to fly, leading to both being held up.
Usyk's promoter Alex Krasyuk told me why just a short time ago.
If we say something happened, it will be a very strong word. Nothing really happened. It was a complete mess and misunderstanding. Probably the lunar eclipse somehow affected people's consciousness, and for that reason they started to behave like that. Just in several words, he was taking his flight to Thessaloniki with his friend at the Ryanair. Employee at some point detected that the man who accompanied Usyk was like in a state that does not allow him to board the plane. So she didn't let him in, so Usyk had to come over.
According to promoter Alex Krasyuk, Oleksandr Usyk's situation escalated when he approached Ryanair employees for an explanation after they refused to allow his friend to board the flight. The staff did not explain, leading to security and police involvement. Usyk insisted he wouldn't travel without his friend, which prompted the authorities to threaten using force.
To ask for the explanation, she didn't give the explanation, then the security came. Then police came, and the Ryanair did not allow his friend to go, so Usyk said he will not travel without him. And after that, looking at Usyk, they said either you leave the space or we will have to use the force. So Usyk said, here are my hands. So they put the chains on his wrists and took them to the police department in the airport. There they made the tests of his friend, which did not confirm what Ryanair was saying. Then the general consular of Ukraine was there as well. So then the employees had to explain at that point what was going on. And they, of course, released him and his friend. And now they have taken their flight already.
Usyk later clarified the situation, explaining it was a misunderstanding, which was quickly resolved. With the support of Ukrainian diplomats and the intervention of President Zelensky, Usyk was released soon after the incident.
Дорогі друзі, всім доброї ночі, все чудово, я вільний. Сталися деякі непорозуміння. Я хочу подякувати українській делегації і послу України в Польщі, особисто президенту нашому, який дуже сильно переживав за це і особисто вирішував це питання. Володимир Олександрович, дякую вам особисто.
He reassured fans via social media that everything was fine and the issue was handled swiftly by Polish authorities and Ukrainian officials.
Слава Богу за все та слава Україні. Все чудово. Я вільний, коронувати мене не треба.
Reportedly, Oleksandr Usyk was traveling from Poland to London for the highly anticipated bout that happened last Saturday at Wembley Stadium between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. This fight was very important for Usyk to watch because the winner was supposed to fight his highest contender, Tyson Fury. Now Dubois, fresh off his knockout victory against Anthony Joshua, has quickly risen in the ranks, catching the attention of the heavyweight division's top fighters. Fury, recognizing Dubois' potential and power, indicated that Dubois could be his next challenge after he handles business with Usyk. Oleksandr Usyk emphasized the risks associated with incorrect defensive techniques during a fight, particularly when stepping back improperly. He explained that failing to maintain the right defensive stance leaves a fighter exposed and vulnerable to attacks.
And then you have one problem, because this position is dangerous. If you wanna do step back like this, not like this, because this this is dangerous.
On the other hand, Daniel Dubois relished the crowning moment of his career after securing his victory. Dubois, who was elevated to world champion when Usyk vacated the belt, delivered a powerful overhand right in the first round that knocked down his opponent, marking the beginning of his dominant performance. Only a few of their combined 49 fights had gone the distance, and Dubois wasted no time proving his strength as the underdog. Tyson Fury also talked about Anthony Joshua's loss and the unpredictable nature of heavyweight boxing while walking out of the stadium on fight night. He noticed that knockouts are an inherent risk for all fighters in the division. He explained that in the heavyweight class anyone can get knocked out, and it's simply part of the sport. Fury said, "It's heavyweight boxing, boys. It happens. You get knocked spark out. It could have been me. It could have been you. It could have been anybody in the heavyweight division. It's what happens. One punch away from being smashed and knocked out." Additionally, Fury commented on the fight's balance, noting that he initially saw it as an even contest. He highlighted the significant age difference between Dubois, 27, and Joshua, 35, and remarked that age eventually takes its toll, which might have played a role in the outcome.
I thought it was a 50-50 fight. God's honest truth. Dubois is a lot younger, isn't he? He's 26, 7-year-old. The other man's 35, same age as me. Age don't wait for anybody, does it? It is what it is. And listen, you get caught with them punches, and you don't see many heavyweights get hit, get knocked down, get back up to you and continue on.
Anthony Joshua has an impressive professional record of 24 wins and 4 losses, with 22 of those wins coming by knockout. He held the unified WBA, Super, IBF, WBO, and IBO heavyweight titles twice between 2016 and 2021. Joshua also won the Olympic gold medal in the super heavyweight division at the 2012 London Games, solidifying his place among the top heavyweights in boxing history. Anthony Joshua, following his loss to Daniel Dubois, shared a public message with a focus on positivity and resilience. In the first part of his statement, Joshua acknowledged the defeat but stressed the importance of focusing on the positives.
Yesterday night we came up short, but look, we've got to look at all the positives. That's the mindset and that's the perspective that we have to have, a positive one, always. Look at what we've achieved in the space of 11 years, it's phenomenal. And I want to thank every single one of you that's been riding with me. What a roller coaster journey.
Joshua then reflected on his determination to continue his career. He reassured his fans that his journey is far from over, acknowledging that while achieving success hasn't been easy, he believes in his ability to rise again. He emphasized the need for hard work and continuous improvement. He continued, "The problem is it's far from over. We've done it once, we've done it twice. Doing it a third time won't be easy, but I believe I can achieve it. It's about making the right steps forward, working hard, and improving." Joshua went on to stress the importance of inner belief, stating that motivation must come from within rather than external influences. Reflecting on his thoughts just a day after the loss, he reiterated his belief that he still has more to offer to the sport of boxing.
It's got to come from here more than anything. It can't come from any external voices or influences. It's got to come from here. And it's only been a day, but when I sit back and I'm thinking, I know I got a lot of this, man. I know I got a lot.
Finally, Joshua ended his message with a heartfelt thanks to his fans for staying with him on this journey. He encouraged them to remain patient and keep their seatbelts tight, as he promised to bring more to the sport. He also expressed his love for British boxing and his determination to continue rising. Joshua concluded, "Thanks for being on this roller coaster journey with me. Keep your seatbelts tight because deep down I know we've got a lot more to bring. Long may British boxing continue and we rise up together." Daniel Dubois dominated Anthony Joshua in a 5-round knockout victory that stunned boxing fans. From the beginning, Dubois applied constant pressure with powerful jabs and hooks, quickly overwhelming Joshua. In the first round, Dubois landed a devastating overhand right, signaling his control over the fight. Joshua struggled to recover, and Dubois maintained his aggressive approach, delivering another knockdown in the third round. By the fifth round, Dubois landed a crushing counter right hand that sealed the win, leaving Joshua unable to beat the count. Daniel Dubois' father, Dave Dubois, expressed his pride and amazement at his son's performance after the fight. He revealed that Daniel had predicted a victory within 6 rounds, but managed to achieve it even faster, finishing the bout in just 5 rounds. Dave's excitement was clear as he praised Daniel for surpassing even his own expectations. Dave Dubois said, "Unbelievable." He said he was going to do it in 6 rounds, but he did it in 5, so here we go. Frank Warren at Queensberry headquarters talked about his fighter and emphasized that the key to the fight was about who would push the other fighter onto the back foot. He also pointed out a vulnerability in Anthony Joshua's technique, noting that Joshua Joshua is often exposed to counterpunches when he throws his right hand, which played a crucial role in the fight's outcome. Warren said, "I said on record before the fight that this fight is going to be about who puts the other guy on the back foot. The key to it would be the jab. In my opinion, AJ is open to a counterpunch when he lets his right hand go." Frank Warren broke down the fight by emphasizing how critical Daniel Dubois' jab was from the very start. He pointed out that Dubois threw a meaningful jab early in the first round that snapped Anthony Joshua's head back, which set the tone for the rest of the fight. According to Warren, from that point forward, Dubois kept Joshua on the back foot until Joshua managed to land a strong uppercut just before the final round.
And if you look at the first round, the first meaningful jab was a brilliant jab from Daniel. Daniel was really up for it. He was focused. He threw a really beautiful jab that snapped AJ's head back. And I think from that moment on, he kept him on the back foot until that last round when just before the last round, AJ caught him with a really good uppercut and he took that. And then AJ, I think he said in his corner it's going to be shit or bust, or roll the dice was the words he used. He's posher than me. And that's what he did. He came out and threw that right hand, and once he did that, once he throws that right hand, that chin's there to be caught. And he caught him with a counter, and that was it.
Michael Buffer, the legendary boxing announcer known for his iconic catchphrase, "Let's get ready to rumble," shared his thoughts on the fight between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois. Buffer noted the shock that came over the crowd at the end of the first round, describing how people were caught off guard by Dubois' performance. He mentioned that many were already looking beyond Dubois, possibly including Joshua himself, but Dubois proved to be a powerful counterpuncher. Buffer praised the young fighter's skill, saying the future looks bright for him.
Everybody at the end of that first round was like this. I mean, it was just like a gasp. I think maybe people were like looking beyond Triple D and thinking like, what's next for AJ, including maybe AJ. And you fall in love with a heavyweight, they'll break your heart sometimes. And man, that young 26-year-old guy. The future's looking good. He's a great counterpuncher.
Michael Buffer is one of the most famous ring announcers in boxing history, with a career spanning several decades. Buffer noted that Joshua appeared to be trying to regain his balance, and his movement became stiff and less fluid than it had been at the beginning of the fight. He suggested that this shift in Joshua's movement might have been a sign of his legs weakening or him struggling to stay steady. Buffer said, "It looked to me like he was trying to get his legs back, steady legs. His movement wasn't up to the mark. He's a fantastic athlete, but his movement was stiff and wasn't fluid like it was for 2.5 minutes in that first round." Buffer further explained that a particular shot, which landed near Joshua's ear, could have contributed to his disoriented state. He compared it to the punch that Andy Ruiz Jr. landed in their first fight, which left Joshua similarly unsteady. The blow to the temple area is known to disorient fighters, making it hard for them to recover fully. He added, then later in the second or third round, one of the shots landed above his ear. The temple area, kind of like where Ruiz hit him. That's a disorienting type of feeling. Michael Buffer offered advice to Anthony Joshua, suggesting that fighting more frequently could benefit his career. Buffer observed that many top fighters, once they reach a certain level of stardom, tend to fight only once a year, which doesn't help them maintain peak performance. He pointed out that Joshua had only fought 4 times in the past 4 years, with 2 of those fights being losses.
I think a lot of these guys, when they become stars, fighting once a year doesn't do you any favors. I think, at least try to fight every 6 months. I mean, coming into this fight, AJ only had 4 fights in 4 years, and 2 of them he lost. So I think keeping busy is a lot better than just keeping in shape.
Daniel Dubois, a rising star in the heavyweight division, has a professional record of 19 wins, 18 by knockout, and 2 losses. He held the WBA regular heavyweight title, which he won in 2021 by defeating Bogdan Dinu. Before that, Dubois also won the British Commonwealth, WBO International, and WBC silver heavyweight titles. Teddy Atlas described the Joshua vs. Dubois fight as a contest of skill versus will. In his breakdown of the fight, Atlas emphasized that while Joshua relied on his technical skills, Dubois brought a relentless will to win, which ultimately made the difference.
This is a fight of will versus skill. The skill of Joshua versus the newfound will.
He analyzed how Dubois managed to catch Joshua with a well-timed counterpunch. According to Atlas, Dubois took advantage of Joshua's moments of hesitation and capitalized on his vulnerabilities, particularly when Joshua's defense dropped after throwing his right hand, allowing Dubois to land the decisive blow.
He used the jab to come forward instead of walking in the way he did against Hrgovic. He backed up Joshua with the jab. The jab kept Joshua defensive. The jab played defense for Dubois, allowed him to come forward safely without getting caught. And then he forced Joshua back, forced him into a bad habit of standing erect, pulling back, and he went with him and caught him. And he kept catching him. And then at the end, give Joshua credit, he came back in that last round. But you know, the funny thing was, he got overconfident. You know, he started landing a little bit. He knew he had to come from behind. He started coming forward, feeling good, and he came forward, he got a little reckless. He went, again, to the floor. Usually guys get hit because of a flaw.
Tony Bellew, reflecting on the fight, admitted that he had misjudged the outcome. He had predicted the bout would end within 4 rounds, but was surprised by the way things unfolded, especially for Anthony Joshua. Bellew analyzed how Dubois immediately let his hands go, while Joshua took a more cautious approach, attempting to box and set up his punches. Bellew believed this was the wrong strategy for Joshua, who, when aggressive, is one of the most dangerous heavyweights. He hoped Joshua would acknowledge this mistake and demand a rematch, attacking Dubois with the aggression he lacked in their first fight.
Of course I'm shocked that I got it completely wrong. I thought it would end within 4 rounds and it didn't. Well, it did. For AJ it was over in the first when that right hand landed. One guy comes out and lets his hands go immediately. Josh starts and he's fencing and he's trying to box and set it up. It was the wrong approach and he'll know. I hope he walks in the post-fight press conference and says tonight, made a mistake, I want a rematch straight away, and he jumps on him. Because Anthony Joshua, when he's letting his hands go, is the most destructive heavyweight in the world. Tonight, he didn't let his hands go quick enough, and that's just a game with him.
Tony Bellew shifted focus to Daniel Dubois' next steps, expressing that Dubois should face Joseph Parker next, as Parker is the fighter who deserves the opportunity. At the same time, he emphasized that Anthony Joshua is now on the road to rebuilding his career, and Bellew is confident that Joshua will bounce back stronger. Bellew added, Daniel Dubois has got to face Joseph Parker next. He's the guy who deserves it the most. But take nothing away. Daniel Dubois tonight is the world champion. I give him all the praise. Take nothing away from Anthony Joshua. He's back on the rebuilding road. Do I think he can come back? I know he can. Gareth A. Davies reflected on Anthony Joshua's performance, defending Joshua's resilience by emphasizing that he was not a quitter. Despite being hurt early in the fight, Joshua came out for the 5th round determined to continue. Nevertheless, Joshua showed bravery, and although he got hurt, he managed to hurt Dubois in the process, turning the fight into a true shootout by the 5th round. Davies said, "It wasn't a quitter on the night. He had to be nailed to the canvas and came out in the 5th round. His game plan went out of the window in the 1st round, but it was a very brave performance, a very valiant performance. Being hurt, it was always going to be a shootout, and in the 5th round he delivered a bit of a hammering in terms of hurting Dubois and got hurt in the process." Gareth A. Davies continued by discussing potential future fights for Anthony Joshua, mentioning a possible bout with Dillian White or a rematch with Joseph Parker. However, he also acknowledged that the optics of Joshua's performance on Saturday night didn't look promising. Joshua appeared vulnerable early on, with his hands low and chin exposed, which was noted by analysts like Lennox Lewis.
But there is a Dillian White fight out there for Anthony Joshua. There's a Joseph Parker rematch out there. But the problem is the optics on Saturday night didn't look good for him. He didn't look good in the opening round. He looked very tentative. Hands low, chin high. Lennox Lewis noticed it on the broadcast. For me, it's the end of an era coming with Usyk, with Joshua, with Fury, with Wilder, and I think the young men are going to take over from here.
Talks of a rematch between Anthony Joshua and Daniel Dubois are gaining momentum following their recent fight. Joshua, who suffered a knockout defeat in the 5th round, is expected to activate the rematch clause in his contract, as confirmed by his promoter Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn clarified the situation regarding Anthony Joshua's potential rematch with Daniel Dubois during an interview with Sky Sports Boxing. He explained that they still have a further fight agreement as part of the Riyadh season, which could include a rematch with Dubois. Hearn mentioned that Joshua's team is open to accepting this fight, but it would also require discussions between Frank Warren and His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh to explore the possibility of arranging the bout.
We do have a further fight with Riyadh season and His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh, and that could include a rematch with Daniel Dubois. Obviously, from our side, that's one of the fights that we could accept. and would be willing to accept. But at the same time, His Excellency will have to deal with Frank Warren and make sure that, you know, they can look at a potential fight with us. But
Hearn also mentioned that it's still early days, and there are many options to consider for Joshua's next steps. He added that after speaking with Joshua, they are keeping their options open and evaluating the best course of action following the fight with Dubois. With only 24 hours since the fight, Hearn emphasized that there's plenty of time to think about Joshua's future.
I think at the moment it's more about, you know, looking at the options for Anthony. I spoke to him about 10 minutes ago, and it's all very fresh at the moment. I mean, just over 24 hours after the fight. So plenty of options and plenty of things to consider and think about as well.
Hearn continued by praising Joshua's fighting spirit, noting how proud he was that Joshua continued to fight hard until he could no longer get up. Unlike some fighters who may focus on surviving after being hurt, Joshua made an effort to keep letting his hands go and trade punches with Dubois, trying his best to win the fight until the very end. Hearn added, "I'm proud of him because he tried to win the fight. You get a lot of people who get hurt, who come to survive, and you get others who actually want to let their hands go, hold their feet and trade and try to win. That's what he did. He didn't stop trying until he couldn't get up anymore." Eddie Hearn discussed the basic errors that Anthony Joshua made during his fight with Daniel Dubois, pointing out how Joshua moved back in a straight line with his chin up, leaving him exposed. The second round was even worse, with Joshua touching down and taking a beating against the ropes before getting up again.
You know, he made some basic errors. What you just saw there, you know, moving back in a straight line with his chin in the air. That was a huge right hand. You know, that was a right hand that would have knocked most heavyweights out. AJ took it, got up, obviously didn't really fully recover, and the second round was even worse. You know, he touched down in the second round. They let the fight go on, and then he took a bit of a beating against the ropes.
Hearn continued, expressing his surprise that Joshua managed to fight on through the 4th and 5th rounds. He emphasized Joshua's heart and determination, noting that despite the damage he took, Joshua refused to quit and continued giving his best effort until the fight was stopped. He added, "I couldn't believe, to be honest with you, we were even going into rounds 4 or 5. I thought he showed so much heart, just kept getting up and not quitting at all." Mark Tibs expressed his surprise and disappointment, and noted that the fight didn't start well for Joshua, which only fueled Daniel Dubois' confidence. Tibs made it clear that Joshua's showing was far from his best, describing the overall performance as lackluster and not what you would expect from a fighter of his caliber.
I was surprised, to tell the truth. I was surprised. It's not a great start for anybody. And it would have fueled the young lion, as in Daniel Dubois. And yeah, it was not a good start. It wasn't a good performance by Anthony Joshua, to tell the truth. You know, it wasn't a great performance at all.
Mark Tibs continued by giving credit to Daniel Dubois for his performance, highlighting the method and discipline in Dubois' approach. Tibs praised Dubois' footwork, head movement, and his strong jab, which Anthony Joshua struggled to counter throughout the fight. Tibs added, "Let's not take anything away from Daniel because he's come on, and there was method in his work and credit to him. Good feet, good head movement, good jab. Anthony Joshua couldn't slip a jab. He took every jab and didn't know how to slip a jab. It was a nice performance." Mark Tibs continued by breaking down the mistakes Anthony Joshua made during the fight, starting with his inability to effectively use his jab. Tibs pointed out that Joshua needed to get behind his shoulder and throw his jab in a more dominating manner, rather than keeping his head up and hands low, which made him look inexperienced. Tibs explained that this was a fundamental mistake, as Joshua should have known better than to attempt an uppercut against a straight shooter like Dubois.
Well, first and foremost, he needed to get behind the shoulder. He needed to ram that left jab out in a dominating fashion. Certainly not with his head up in the air. He had his hands on his chest, and he was almost novice-y like. And you know, he's got to get behind that shoulder. Got to be behind that shoulder. And to be fair, in the 5th round, he come out to be the dominator and get behind the 1-2, as in the right hand. But he made an awful mistake by trying to throw a right uppercut against a straight shooter. He should know better than that.
In the aftermath of Anthony Joshua's defeat to Daniel Dubois, it's clear that both fighters showed remarkable qualities, Dubois with his dominance and Joshua with his resilience. But with the mistakes made by Joshua, the question arises, can he make the adjustments necessary for a potential rematch? Will he learn from his errors and reclaim his spot in the heavyweight division? Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below, and to watch the upcoming intense rivalries, hit that subscribe button.